Thank you so much. Would it be inappropriate to talk about my cable bill right now like I do that? No, we'll talk at the bar. She is a native Southern California, my home girl, a graduate of the University of Minnesota's Journalism School. Our first presentation for the evening, the Print and Digital Award presented by Yahoo, is Ms. Sara Kehaulani Goo. Sara is the editor-in-chief of Axios, leading over 120 journalists and the newsroom. She joined Axios in 2019 as the executive editor and launched the company's podcast operation, including the hit show How It Happened and the Hard Truth series examining systemic racism called America. And I'm just playing. Loosen up, goddamn, it's an award show. What the fuck? Shit. Let's take a look at the Print and Digital Award honoree, Ms. Sara Kehaulani Goo.
I'm Sara Kehaulani Goo.
From the time her passion in journalism blossomed as a high school yearbook editor in Southern California to her current role as editor-in-chief at Axios, Sara Goo has a storied career helping audiences understand the world around them. Sara graduated from the University of Minnesota's Journalism School. As she started her reporting career, she realized a voice was missing from the top levels of newsrooms, a voice that sounded like hers. She spent much of her career at the Washington Post as a national business reporter, digital editor, and senior news director when the newsroom merged its print and digital operations to focus on digital growth. As a reporter, she broke stories in Washington which prompted congressional investigations. Sara also founded a data reporting and visualization publication at Pew Research Center, where she served as senior digital editor. She then went on to become managing editor at NPR, overseeing the newsroom's digital content and strategy. Sara joined Axios in 2019 and launched the company's podcast operations, including the hit show How It Happened and the Hard Truth series. She now serves as Axios editor-in-chief and oversees the quickly expanding newsroom and the award-winning podcast operation. With decades of passion, experience, and impact, Sara is the embodiment of thoughtful leadership, building a better news industry for the next generation.
This year's recipient of the MMCD's Print and Digital Award presented by Yahoo is Sara Kehaulani Goo.
Thank you. I didn't know.
Who was the DJ? Jesus Christ, keep it going.
It's okay.
I said for you shit.
You can tell it's my first award. Jeez. Oh. Thank you. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction and the replay of my really bad haircuts from the past. This is a wonderful honor. It's wonderful to be with you tonight. It's wonderful to be together in person with esteemed colleagues, fellow honorees, and a lot of my friends from Axios as well are here. So I want to tell a little quick story about me, and so you get to know me beyond that. I wanted to be a journalist the moment I was in high school and the first time I stepped into a local newsroom in Southern California. It spoke to me, and I didn't even know for sure what a journalist did day to day, but I knew that I loved being the first to know something. I wanted to understand how things really worked, and I really wanted to understand how things really happened. I also love to write, and I love to ask people questions. And I know I share that with a lot of you in this room tonight. So I didn't come from a family of journalists. I didn't know anyone when I was growing up who was a journalist. I just knew it sounded like a ton of fun. And I'm lucky, still feel lucky this day to say that I am a journalist and I get to do this every day. A quick story about my first years, or actually my first job. I landed an internship at the Wall Street Journal in Detroit right after college. And I learned really quick how my name and my background, we need to fit in a little bit. So picture this, it's Detroit, it's the late 90s. I got to sit in the Journal's bureau in Detroit with a small team that covered the auto industry, and they were all incredibly serious, and I'm sure they didn't know what to make of me. There was someone who covered Ford and someone who covered GM and someone who covered Chrysler. And my bureau chief was this kind of older, like older than my father, crusty newspaper man. He's still around. He's great. His name is Bob Simonson, and one thing I noticed about Bob as I was trying to learn this job was the way he answered the phone. Like he had, the phone would ring, and it would be like, ring, ring, and the old school telephone, and he would say, Simonson, that was his last name. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. Like, journalists don't even have time to have pleasantries. They just answer the phone and say their name, tell me the information. So, the next day I tried that on, and I was like, okay, I made some calls. I got sources to call me back, and so the phone rings, and I'm like, Goo! And there was just silence on the other end of the line. And I was like, it's Sara Goo at the Wall Street Journal. Anyway, that was a quick lesson. So later that day, I filed my story to Mr. Simonson, and I wrote my name. I wrote Sara Goo, and he sent me the edits, and that was really kind. And he was gentle with his edits. And then he had some questions for me. And one question he had was nothing to do with the story. He said, Sara, I noticed that there was a name missing in your byline. What happened to that? And I said, oh, you mean Kehaulani. I'm part Native Hawaiian, so I have a Hawaiian name. And he said, put that in, the folks in New York will like that. And I said, okay. It turned out to help. I went on to get a job at the Wall Street Journal. I'm not sure it was because I put my middle Hawaiian name in there. But I learned, I think this story tells you quickly, why I don't answer the phone, Goo, and my name, my byline will forever be Sara Kehaulani Goo. So the point of the story, and it's a small story that I learned in my first week doing this job, is that I learned about representation, right? I learned very quickly that as a person with a very public job and a very public responsibility, that I was representing in all kinds of ways, whether I knew it or not, right? I learned that I was that at that moment. And that's a thing that I carry, and I will always carry. It's a thing all of us carry, right? So the thing I wanted to talk about when I thought about the mission of this organization and what brought us all to here tonight is exactly that, right? It's representation. And how does that relate to today? So at Axios, in my role now, we have, I hope you're all subscribed, we have great newsletters, they're free. We give you the news, and we do it with this thing called Smart Brevity. So in every story, we tell you at the very top why it matters, right? It's we spell it out. In journalism, they call that the nut graph, the middle, the why, so what, why are we writing the story? And I started thinking, why does that matter? Why does representation matter? And it matters not because of how you look or how I look or what others may see in us or what they perceive. Some of that matters on first impression, of course, but there's more to representation than who we appear to be. It is our credibility as journalists is not just how we look, but how we do our jobs, right? It is the stories we choose to tell. It is the perspectives that we bring to those stories. It is the stories that we know exist that others don't because of our lived experience. It's also the stories we choose not to do, or the stories we stop that are bad, that are not correct, that don't give us the full picture. And each of us brings and adds to that fabric of the stories that we are putting out into the world every single day. That's a huge responsibility. We bring our whole selves to our work. And that is a great honor and a great responsibility to represent the full picture of America as best we can. So this award tonight means very, very much to me. I want to thank the association, David, and my colleagues here tonight, and my fellow media friends. Thank you very much. I won't drop it this time.